Darrin Bradbury on a Friday morning.
Good morning, Martin. How you doing?
Good, good. Glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Glad you brought your guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start off with a song.
Sounds wonderful. It's called breakfast since it's still early enough. You know,
Yeah.
you don't start off every morning, right? So if anything, that's more relatable to the fact that I'm sure that you showed up for work once and just didn't know what to do.
Oh my gosh, yes. Not to mention, nightmares of showing up not ready at all. And
That was like
not
being naked
dressed.
at the school
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
dream.
Yep.
I don't know why I found that moment where I was hitting that chord and I was like, one of the things wasn't pumping the other, where it was like, wait a second, there's a word that I'm supposed to say, but I don't know exactly what that word is. And I know that, and it's a funny thing because the word you're supposed to say 2 steps down the line, but for some reason my brain was not doing the thing that connects the two.
Yeah.
From where I was to where I needed to be. So, good morning. Come see us in Charlotte.
Does that ever happen on stage?
Never.
When you got people looking at you? And
It's been it's funny. The last couple months or so, I've actually once or twice, but generally I'm not a lyric forgetter.
Yeah. But you don't have concerts usually in the morning like this is right now?
No, but the mornings tends to be my best time of operating. I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know what just happened there.
Well, it's funny, that song Breakfast, which, by the way, you have a really fun video of.
Yeah.
I love that. It shows the squirrels. I forgot if it shows the hawk. I guess it does.
They animated that.
yeah,
See, that's where I got caught up. I was like, what happens next in this play?
You were watching the video in your mind?
I was.
And a cartoon of you, at the breakfast table. And it reminds me of that John Prine song about the bowl of oatmeal that stared me down and the illegal smile.
Well,
That time the bowl of oatmeal won, maybe. Yeah, metaphorically.
This morning the bowl of oatmeal won.
Did it?
Oh, I mean, obviously.
Hate when that happens. But brilliant idea to follow it up, though, and shift gears quickly with This Too Shall Pass, which it did.
Which was the moment that I had to that I botched.
Yeah,
and it passed.
And
we're here.
Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I'm glad we got to hear This Too Shall Pass. Played perfectly, by the way.
Yeah.
So
great. I got that one.
So 2 songs right out of the starting gate live on WNCW from this great new release, Talking Dogs and Atom Bombs.
Yeah.
2 of our favorites here. Congratulations on the record.
Thanks, man. It's been going pretty well. So it's been really cool, and I have no complaints for the first time in my life.
Yay! First time, huh?
Yeah,
All right.
First time, no complaints.
Do you have any complaints with this quote from Rolling Stone about it? Off-color folk music celebrating the humor and heartbreak of the American underbelly with songs of Roadkill, Junkies, Daffy Duck, and Danzig, end quote. Does that cover it?
I find that to be accurate. That would be an accurate summation of what I what I do.
Yeah.
No complaints.
Okay. Is this the first album of yours?
No, it's the second. Okay. The first one is called Elmwood Park, a slightly melodic audio book, and I didn't want anyone to confuse it for music. And then this is the follow-up to that, Talking Dogs and Atom Bombs.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
And so how did this come together? Because you got some heavy hitters. You got Kenneth Pettingale, right, of the Milk Carton Kids. He produced it. He
came out to one of my shows, and a friendship ensued, and with him and Joey, and we just started getting a lot of coffees and talking, and I would we just started talking, and over the course of a couple of years, we decided to make a record together, and he was a very qualified leader in the studio, and was very good at knowing the direction things needed to go, and was an absolute pleasure to work with. And the whole album was kind of made by a group of friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was kind of like they all came together, and they were like, "Darrin, you're pretty good at this. Why don't we make you something that gets you a job doing it?" And I was like, "Okay, that sounds like fun."
Cool. Right on. Let's hear another tune from it.
Can it be a new one? Is that okay?
Well, that's fine, too.
Right?
Yeah, you've already got new material. A brand new one, sounds like, from Darrin Bradbury.
Brand new one.
What's that called?
Field Notes from a College Town.
Yeah, all right, cool. It reminds me of a few folks. I don't know, maybe a little bit of Paul Simon. I know that he was a bit of an influence on you. Maybe it's more something about your vocal style there. But there's this guy, Matt the electrician.
Yeah, no.
Sounds like something that he would maybe.
Yeah, no, that's two very nice compliments.
Oh,
Thank you.
Cool. And Based on a true story? Someone you know?
Well, sort of. I had it's been a strange year for me. I had a bit of a health issue a couple months ago. I had a blood clot in my leg and a small pulmonary embolism, but it happened while I was in Virginia, and so I had to recover in Virginia. I was in Charlottesville.
Where
And
you
I
used to live?
Yeah, I used to live. I was taking some time off, and I didn't really feel much like singing. So I kind of just walked around the downtown area and made some observations and sort of kept a mental note of them in my head. And was just from sort of being quiet and people watching and trying to create some characters that live in a city that's. I'm kind of fascinated with modernity, like where we are now is very interesting to me, and what the new working creative class is like and what that world is. So I've been trying to dive sort of into that.
Sounds like what? Like politics and class structure and how technology is impacted?
Yeah, I think technology impacting that is huge for me. I just think we live in such a bizarre, strange, funny world where you can just touch all these screens and things happen, and it creates these very, very, very impatient appetites for what we're desiring in the world. You know?
Yeah. So laying low for a while, recuperating and people watching.
Yeah.
I know from my own personal experience, that's when I do the most kind of a lot of the absorbing of the world around me, just staying put and just observing others.
Yeah.
Sitting on a park bench on Main Street or something, just watching people.
Well, that's what happened was, and I guess it's funny to some people, but I got the record contract with Anti, and people were asking me what I was going to do next. I had some downtime. I actually went back to Charlottesville and just lifted furniture because it just made more sense to me. Huh. And I guess that's not what most people do when they get a record contract and think of what they want to do with their time.
Lifted furniture?
Yeah, I used to work at an antique furniture store and loading trucks and unloading trucks, and I prefer, so it was nice to just kind of recluse into that, and instead of sitting around Nashville and waiting for people to pat me on the back,
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like hearing about, if this is true, that when you first moved to Nashville, you were 25 years old, moved there from Charlottesville, and you spent 3 months living in your car
in the
Walmart parking lot, which I think Walmart is actually another place that Matt the Electrician sings about.
Yeah.
But anyway, I know that's a common thing for musicians when they're touring around. Like, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but the Walmart parking lot sometimes can be a good place to spend the night,
We used to do that all the time.
Quiet place and all that. Yeah. But you spent a good 3 months there, and I can only imagine what that was like as a musician. You were so excited to be in Nashville. You're going to try this new thing, and it was exciting, and yet it must have been challenging.
It was, it was a do or die kind of time. And I had a lot to prove. I was 25. I wasn't like, kid anymore. And I decided that I'd go for it and spend all the resources I had throwing myself into the open mic nights and the culture there. And I didn't want to have a rent or bills to worry about. And so I did that. And it was cold. It was January. And I lived with my bass player at the time, who we used to tour together a lot, in a Ford Focus. And the two of us would sleep in there after doing 4 or 5 nights and doing open mic nights 4 or 5 nights a week.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
that'll build character.
Yeah. Or characters that you read about,
Right.
But I don't do that anymore. Actually, I bought a new car and I slept in it. I went to a wedding over the summer in southwestern Virginia, and I drove from Nashville, and I have a Nissan Xterra now, and I slept in that one night, and it was just to kind of,
relive old times, glory days.
You got to stay in touch with it.
That's right. Good. It's Darrin Bradbury here on WNCW. He played last night in Asheville, and tonight he is in Charlotte. Kind of a later show tonight. I know Kelsey Walden's doing a show at the Evening Muse, but then it's you and Corey Brennan.
Yes.
At the Evening Muse.
Our first night together on a 2-week tour.
Yeah.
And I just played with Kelsey last night at the Grey Eagle.
Right on.
So we're going to go to her show. Don't tell her. Josh and I, my tour manager, we bought T-shirts, and we're going to wear them to the Kelsey Walden show. But yeah, she puts on a great show. So if you're in Charlotte, you should go see that early.
Cool.
And then come hang out with us late.
Yeah, so I guess it's a triple bill, we can call it.
Yeah.
The Evening Muse. Let's hear another tune.
Let's hear another one. Okay, let's do Let's do. Hell's more or less the same.
Yeah, that's one of the tunes on Darrin Bradbury's new release, Talking Dogs and Atom Bombs. Is that one of the songs, like you mentioned, you do a lot of your songwriting in the morning over coffee? Is it?
No, I actually wrote that on a Snoopy worthy dark and stormy night when he's typing the things in that. Actually, it was a stormy night, and I wrote that song.
All right.
But no, a lot of the stuff is written in the morning for the
Yeah.
most part. Maybe that's I write it in the morning. Don't do so great at singing in the morning. Apparently.
No, it sounds real good.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I keep going back to that video that you have of the breakfast song
Yeah.
where you're there, and it's a cartoon of you, but kind of Peanuts or Snoopy-esque actually.
Yeah,
but,
I
think
really
about it, animated.
I love that stuff, and I like doing things very low key. That was filmed and made during the time that I was recovering from that health stuff in Charlottesville, and Anti was really great. They sent up a photographer to take some promo shots for me in Charlottesville while I was recovering. And they also wanted me to do a video, and I was like, "Do you have an iPhone?" So we had her name was Danielle. She just took an iPhone video of me eating breakfast, and then I set up the table, and then I was like, "Let's just animate," and then drew some pictures and scanned it to them, and they put it all together. Did a really nice job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. I like it.
Cool.
So when you had first moved to Nashville and living in the car and stuff, and that was well before you got signed on with Anti Records.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that, by the
Thanks.
way. We like that label.
They're awesome. They've been just nothing but great to work with.
Cool. And so to fast forward to now, is this kind of like where you were hoping to be around this time in your life? Maybe is it?
Well, it's
is
a
it going-
beautiful day to be in North Carolina.
Well, I don't mean like today.
No, I know. No, I've been very fortunate. Not a lot of people get to move to Nashville, Tennessee, and develop a following living out of their car. Last night at the show, people showed up and they were familiar with the album and they had requests.
Wow.
And that was cool. And, songs are really for the audience. They're not really for you. So I just try to see it as if, they sent my kids to school and they're getting along.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up there last night and I was like, "Hey, I work for you. What do you want to hear?" And luckily enough, we had an audience that wanted to hear things. So just played them what they wanted to hear.
That's cool. Yeah. That still impresses me of all the different musicians that come and tour around that are just getting started. Okay, this is your second, not your first record. But for a lot of us, this is your first record.
Absolutely.
And it's not on, the top 40 radio. And yet people can go to a show, where someone else is the headliner too. But no, they already know some of your songs.
Oh, it's pretty cool. And, credit to stations like you guys for playing stuff like this. This is not a very radio radio made record, but it's stations like this that that people actually come out to when they hear stuff and they listen to songs and they listen to people play the songs, and that's where they develop when they're driving around in their working day, and a station like this is playing breakfast at 10 o'clock in the morning and it's not being messed up by the performer. They hear that song and they connect to it because it becomes part of their life through that said station. You know what I mean? Through that, their everyday. And that's an important facet of discovering and connecting with music.
Right on.
So thank you.
Yeah. Well, the gratitude you're showing this morning, it shows on some of your social media posts I've seen, and actually in the liner notes to this record of the weirdos and all that buy it. And I like your honesty.
Well, I'm 32. I'm not, this isn't happening. But if this contract had happened at 22, you might have a bit of a cockier
chip on the shoulder or something.
But I've almost died doing this. It's got to be fun, and it's got to be for something besides yourself. I mean, if I wanted to, I could sit in my room and play songs to myself all day long. So I'm just grateful when people like it, and I connect to it. That's it.
Cool. Well, you definitely got some good stories and characters, and glad they're coming out. And I see Amp Hours of NPR, All Songs Considered. They've tapped in. They like that's great.
The presser on the I try not to look too much at it, but I saw her the other day and I thanked her. It was very nice of her to do that.
Cool.
But yeah, it's cool.
Right, let's hear one more before you head to Charlotte, if we can.
I'm gonna try to win from the rocky start with yet another new one. This song is called Double XY Top Left, parentheses, a song for Ravon. And Ravon is Ravon Pettis, who's a phenomenal songwriter in Nashville, Tennessee. And anyway.
A brand new one from Darrin Bradbury, wrapping up a live session here in Studio B. Thanks so much for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Early morning.
Oh, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Now you can just coast on over to Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoy the Queen City.
Going to hit the YMCA there, compare it to the YMCA in Asheville, which is a tough one. That was a good YMCA. I've been to a lot of them.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well,
thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you. Live Studio B sessions on WNCW brought to you by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. I'm Martin Anderson.